Hello and welcome to Experts Live UK Community Voices. This series is all about the people behind the Microsoft community, their stories and how they got where they are today. In each episode, I sit down with speakers, experts and community leaders from across the Microsoft ecosystem to talk about their journey, how they got started, the challenges they faced and what led them ultimately to where they are today. So, whether you're just starting out in your career or you're deep into your career in tech, the goal here is to share real stories and real lessons from real people in the real community. And today, as always, I'm joined by co-hosts, and that co-host today is Nate. Hello Nate, how are you doing?
What up? Yeah, I'm all good. I'm all good, Bruce. Yeah. Pleased to be here.
Yes, so am I. Good to have you here because we have a very special guest today. Every guest is special, of course, in their own special way. But Steve, because I think you're our first guest who is not from this fair isle of the United Kingdom, Steve is joining us today, Steve Weiner. Steve, you're a principal architect and founder of GetRubix as well as an MVP. So let's get started. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Thank you. Good. I'm happy to be here.
It's good to hear. It's great to have you. So, I mean, before we sort of get into anything kind of too deep, I know typically there are things that might be bothering you might want to get off your chest. So before we do get into anything, let's just see if there's anything you want to get off your chest.
There's always something. Yeah, that's generally I use videos to get it out there. Here I can tell you in the US it was 70 degrees Fahrenheit. I know it's a different thing here. It was getting warm. And then it snowed yesterday. So I'm going to have my sinuses transplanted from a healthier guy, I think. Because I've had sinus pressure for 13 years now, and it's not seasonal allergies. So I'm going to have to figure something out. But, you get by, nose spray, tissues, and just whatever you got to do. So that's where I'm at. But,
That's all good. It's all about getting by. By contrast, I've got very little to report. I fell over running earlier on today, but some worse things have happened to me.
Hey, at least you went for a run, man. That's all good.
Yeah. That was the one time I wasn't in Teams calls today.
Went for a what? You say run? I'm not familiar with.
It was raining outside. The car was closed. It's fine.
Okay.
All good. Well, really good to have you here, and good you've got that off your chest first. So for those of you who are listening who don't know Steve, let's have you introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. I'm Steve Weiner. I am a Microsoft MVP for Intune and Windows 365. And I've been in this industry working with endpoint management since about 2010, and working specifically on the Windows platform. Right when Windows 10 came out, it's 2015 I started. And I've been a consultant that whole time, and an implementation engineer, and I guess an architect. These titles they just give out sometimes like candy. In last year, it's been a little over a year, February of 2025. Myself and my partner, business partner, decided to make our own business. So we took what was a social media and a blog and a YouTube branding of Rubix, and we made it a company where we do Microsoft services and kind of all the good stuff I talk about on YouTube, and we help people with them. So that's where I'm at.
That's quite a move to make. It's quite a move to start your own thing up. How did that kind of go? How did you find that?
It's terrifying. It was very, very interesting because I guess the best way to describe is what happened is we were doing this inside of a much larger global reseller and had a team there and wanted to take things in a different direction. And all the while doing this YouTube channel of GetRubix. So YouTube GetRubix, I guess that's the channel, YouTube/GetRubix. I don't know still don't know how YouTube works. I'm figuring it out. And basically folks reaching out saying, can you help me with this? Or can you help me with, this kind of thing? And we figured, that was more the direction we wanted to go in. So we took a leap, and luckily we're still here and it worked, and we're growing a little bit. Rubix went from 2 people to 3 people to, I think we're up to 6 or 7 right now. So we work with other MVPs as well, a lot of partners, and it's going well. But yeah, just I think you have to be a little too dumb to be scared and
I
do it.
understand.
One thing folks kept telling us is, well, you could always get a job. So that was like, yeah, I guess we can go get another job. That's true too. And
It's good to
yeah,
have a plan B.
just did it. Yeah, it is good to have a little bit of a plan B. And yeah, it worked out, I guess, so far. Knock on wood.
It's good to hear. So one
Yeah.
thing I've always wanted to know is, where did the name come from? I've never asked you, even though I've known you
My
for quite a
mom,
while.
yeah, my mom likes Steve, I guess. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. Should have predicted that answer.
Yeah, it was no, I think it originally came, so my partner's name is Sean. We started together. Um and when we were putting the blog together, I pretty much came out of this idea of solving, right? It was just, it's a Rubik's cube solving. And it literally was never straightforward, and it still isn't straightforward. In 2015, I told someone they can Azure AD join a Windows computer, and in their office as part of a pitch, and I was cursed at and told to leave, and that was crazy. I used to have a lot more hair. I guess that's why it's gone. But even as it grew, working with Microsoft, seeing Autopilot grow and Intune grow and all these modern technologies, to this day, it's still like a puzzle. And it just generally feels like we're always solving. So I'm pretty sure that's where it came from, or I'm wrong, and Sean will just make a comment below this or yell at me later. But yeah, I think that's where it came from. And it just stuck. It was like this, get Rubik. It just like, it felt easy to remember. So yeah.
That makes sense. It does. It's logical, and you're right. There always is going to be an element of puzzle solving around sort of tech. Always thinking back to AD before, even more puzzles to solve, and some of the same old puzzles get solved again and again.
At the rate of change that Microsoft are putting stuff out, they're just going to keep us in business forever, right?
Even just the name changes. Well, I will tell you, it's
Yes.
funny because it seems like more than, if you look at like the Rubik's Cube, right, which we have the little 3 next to the R, there's a technical component, but there's a very human element to all of this stuff, because we're always saying like we feel like a tech therapist sometimes, and it's like walking because I started doing this thing when I give these talks, and I say, who feels like they still need to be Active Directory domain joined? And I say, pay close attention to the word I used. It was feel, because technically I know you don't have to, but we got to get through that barrier, right? There's the feeling, and then there's the company itself, the organization. So it's like it always feels like multiple layers. It's the tech, the people, and the organization. And then how do we twist all that to make it work so we can use Autopilot, I guess, or Intune, or one of those.
Well said. Well said.
Well said. I was wondering what the 3 meant. I was wondering if there was meaning behind the 3.
Me
'cause I have
too,
that
Bruce.
sticker on my laptop. Well, there you go.
Yeah, me
Good, I'm not
too.
alone.
Me too.
So one thing that I have noticed, observing you from afar, well, and of course in person, is you have a very distinct style. How did your kind of style in terms of content delivery kind of evolve, and how did you find that in the first place? Because it's fairly unique, and it sort of helps with the human piece we were just talking about, rather than just the tech
I think
piece.
a lot of the time, I think everybody sometimes takes things too seriously, right? To me, we'd be in a crazy customer scenario, and one of my coworkers, my friend Jesse, who I've worked with for years, and I would turn to him and just crack a completely stupid, pointless joke. Like, we're on crunch time, and I would do this, and he'd be like, "Is everything a joke?" And I'm like, "Yeah, kind of." But no, for me, it's funny. If you look in the Rubik's channel, there's a very early video that's still up there where I didn't know how to be to do this. I think it was about autopilot or something. And I remember looking at the camera being like, "Hi, my name's Steve Weiner. I'm a principal architect. And today I'm going to," and it was just nothing wrong with the way people do that, by the way. I never want to knock anyone. It's just, I can't pull it off. And it's clear when you watch the video, you're like, what's wrong with him? And it just didn't feel good to me. I didn't want to make more videos. So I was just like, the heck with it. And during, the whole lockdown and the events 2020, I got bored, and I was doing the thing everyone does. We work from home, so I would never stop working. I would just constantly. So me and a few friends, I think it was 2022, decided we should play video games on Twitch. And I had no
Sounds good.
business doing it, but we needed something, some outlet, some hobby. So we did it, and I had fun making it. No one watched it. There's plenty of bald, bearded guys on Twitch. They don't need another one playing video games. So, but I enjoyed it, and I would do it with friends, and I would say these. It was an outlet for the crazy part of me to say stuff, and we were cracking jokes and playing. And then the idea came from a colleague of mine who would do the Twitch videos with me, Lisa. She said, "You should do the Intune videos like that." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She goes, "Well, you sound like a lunatic. You're just saying whatever, but it's funny and it's a little relatable." She goes, "That might work." And I realized, well, there's really nothing like that because I'm a big fan of stand-up comedy and all that stuff. There's nothing like it in the tech space. So I think the first few, I would just shout something. Like I remember I was like, "What's wrong with Nickelback?" And then I would go talk about it. I like the throwing people off. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because to me, people don't look these videos up for fun. Like you don't say, "Oh, I got a few hours. I'm going to watch some into it." You're generally in crisis mode. I realize like the audience is in crisis mode. They're how to set up an Endes server. And then they find this. So first of all, my old thumbnails used to be a little picture of like a taco talking or a cheese sandwich driving, just some crazy stuff. And it would kind of throw them off and they'd find it. And then they'd start my video and be like, did he not know he hit record? But then we get there and it was just interesting enough to keep. And I left it and it became kind of a formula. Yeah, I guess it works. We're about to do 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, which to me is crazy. I thought
great.
We're not there yet. Yeah, it's like 9,600. I thought my mom would subscribe and maybe 2 friends I could pay. So crazy for me that's where it went, but it must be working. So I kept it and I continue to do it. And yeah, when it stops working, I'll pivot.
Sounds good to me. It's about knowing when to pivot, but I can definitely say it is working.
Without a doubt,
from my perspective.
You definitely found a niche. Yeah.
And that's important.
Yeah.
So YouTube obviously is a big piece of how you deliver content. What was the driver behind YouTube? Well, was it always YouTube? Was there a blog that came before? How did that kind of work?
Yeah, there's a GetRubix blog, which admittedly I need to fix because we made a new website when our business went live, and we kind of had to move the blog. It's a long story, but we had to move the blog hosting haphazardly, and we're currently fixing that. But yeah, it was a blog that started in 2019, I believe. Very early on, and it just, the blog started because me and my small team in this other company, we would write these, I guess, knowledge bases, but I'm so disorganized we would lose them. So we're like, well, let's do a blog. And then I think within our company, we couldn't figure out how to do it internally because there were too much red tape. We're like, well, it's easier to just make a Squarespace blog. And so we took the name we had and we did that and didn't think anyone would look. And then we kept writing stuff. And then I knew something was going on because I kept setting up Endes and Skep servers over and over again. And every time I did it, I couldn't remember how I did it the last time. So I wrote a whole thing for myself and I ended up putting it up in 4 parts just to make it easy. And it was like at one point, I think it was if you Googled Intune and Endes, it was like the number 2 thing. It's still on the front page, but it's probably went down a little. It needs to be updated. But yeah, then I'm like, oh, people are reading this. So I should think about what I'm writing on. And it just kept going until finally it was like, for me, it's like a big thing for me is when I learn something, I learn it better when I explain it to someone. For some reason, I don't know if it's a birth defect or something. We can ask my mom. I like explaining things. Like I think it helps me. So it just became natural to go from there to the videos. And I bought the camera for Twitch. Honestly, people say, what lens or camera do you use? Like Dean does YouTube too. And people can ask him. I have no idea what this thing is. Sean, I work with, he knows way more about cameras. He sent me an Amazon, like, buy this one and put it here. This camera hasn't moved since 2022. And I guess it's a Sony of some kind, but I don't know much about that part of it. I know about the editing and the sound, but yeah, so I got 2 lights here and a camera, and I just started talking about Intune instead of Dark Souls and Elden Ring. So that's why YouTube.
They're both great topics.
Sure, for me. Yeah, so that's where that came from, I guess.
Good, awesome. So clearly, the whole jump from your last place where you were for 10 years must have been quite a thing to do. How was that whole adjustment period? What was the sort of like ultimate reason, the ultimate driver, the thing that pushed you over the edge to make that jump?
Well, I mean, look, some people will know where it is, and it's a great company. There's so many great global resellers out there and providers. And it wasn't that. It was literally about, having a lot of ideas we kind of want to work the way our customers want to work. And anytime you're with a large organization that's, thousands of people, tens of thousands of people work there, change is just not that fast, right? And that's not, I wouldn't say that's a negative. It's a good thing in some respects, but we just wanted to be quicker and wanted to change the way we do things. Like if we wanted to take on a project that had nothing to do with Intune, we wanted to do it. If we wanted to develop our own thing and sell it, we wanted to do that. So I think it came from this idea of like wanting to work autonomously, and just faster and being able to take on all kinds of different projects. And the transition was weird because I was in that mindset still, like of well, who do we check? Our joke in the beginning was like cab approval and change requests. So we'd be on the phone, just the two of us, and say, well, we're putting this through change. He's like, yep, done. It's like, we made a decision.
It's very liberating, I can imagine.
It
Versus a
is, and
cab.
it's weird because you're like, when you can do anything, I think it's an old phrase, right? When you can do anything, the hardest thing is doing something.
Yeah.
Maybe, I hope I didn't make it up, but
You can
hallucinating
have that.
again.
That could be a Steve original right there.
I don't think it is. It's too smart. But it became the biggest thing is like, where do we, what do we do? How do we go? How do we handle both like working with customers and developing? Because we were able to create and launch an app in the first 6 months. And same thing, people were buying it. And I was like, whoa, okay, I got to support this thing. So it's like, it's just, I'm good at like, in the moment craziness and, my co-founder, Sean, he's very good at like long-term planning and seeing the future type stuff. So it's just a balance. But yeah, that was the biggest shift, was figuring out how to day to day do it. But it also felt natural because I think if it didn't, we wouldn't have left. I'm always a big fan of like, do the thing first and then flow into it. Like, act mentally like you run your own business and then naturally flow into it, I guess.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
I guess on the I'm keen to know. You talked about sort of building there because you're a big builder. You built Hyperpilot, right? And that was
Yeah.
Have you got anything else in the pipeline? I guess.
Yeah, a lot. Now it's just the problem. Now is a good problem. It's time. We have a lot of customers, and some of them are fairly large, and we love working with them, and we're doing a lot, and we've expanded. But it's like, okay, we need to find the time to go back and improve some things and release some new tools. So there are things in the pipeline, and it's that's the part I like doing. That's more the hobby element. So I try to work on that. I'd say after hours, but when you own a business, there's no after hours. It's the whole 24 of them. It's your job is 24. Yeah, there's tools in the pipeline.
I'm also keen to know, kind of trying to steer things back to community a little bit and your involvement around YouTube. Have you got any sort of advice for people that are looking to get out there and do more of what you're doing, sharing content? Any advice you can give people?
The advice I always give on blogs or YouTube is no one is watching you now and no one's reading you now. And the reason I say that is because the number one thing I hear from people is like, well, what if no one watches it? No one's watching it now. What? It's not going to get worse.
What's the difference?
No one's going to show up at your house and say, yeah, we're from YouTube. You suck and you need to stop making videos. I mean, they didn't do it with me, so you're probably fine. Yeah, they don't. It's getting over this like, being afraid, the fear of like, well, what about this? And what about, if you look, I had to figure out so many things. Like, I'm sure people who are, and still someone could look at me, my camera sucks or my, the way I edit or, my voice, I can't change that, but like, just different things I had to figure out. And I take, comments from people, and some people are crazy, but other comments I actually like look at and be like, oh, maybe I should change that. Yeah, don't be afraid to like, fail. There's no failing. It's not, you might have to pivot, or if you're writing something, well, no one's reading your stuff now, put it out there. You never know. I've done things, I always try to think what's a super interesting topic, for, it's got to be real impressive and something. And I'll think, well, people have been asking me about this, which to me is like, I'll say rudimentary, but people may not be familiar with it. I'll do a YouTube video on it, and that's got the biggest views that month. So it's
Yeah.
like, you got to get out of your head of like hesitating, or I'll do a topic and I'll get like 60 views and no one ever watched it. Well, that was a bad one, but you got to just do them. Put the content. And I did a lot in the beginning. I try to do a video a week, which I guess is a lot, but I tried to do 3 a week in the beginning. I was having
3
fun.
a week.
I mean, I could not keep up with you. Like it was just there
It
was
was
too
a
much.
lot. Well, it was way too much, and I was super into it, and I just liked doing it. That's all I wanted to do was make videos and put them. It was fun, like, again, I have to, just like the jokes, I kind of have to entertain myself, but there were a lot of lessons learned. You don't make content for yourself, so there's some things like whether it's the opening music or, the graphics, or recently a big change was our thumbnails. The thumbnails used to be an homage to a show called Aqua Teen Hunger Force that I was a big fan of, with the talking milkshake and meatball.
I always wondered where you got those from. Yeah.
It made me laugh. I loved my sister did all the artwork. There was no AI. And she did it because she liked the show with me. I'm like, help me do this. I would give her, literally, my list would be videos for the week and then thumbnail ideas. So on one topic, it'd be Intune Suite, Autopilot, and something else. And then it would say, Steve and a taco shop for orange juice. Steve and the Gatorade bottle do this, and it was just we were having fun. But now that we were like making some money on YouTube and looking at optimizing, the thumbnails were confusing to most people, especially if you're already a fan from the beginning and you got it, sure. But that was a decision, so we changed recently, and now we have a more professional structure, which is working. It's making it more accessible to people who are new. But yeah, I miss the old ones. I like them a lot better. But I guess I could draw little pictures of tacos and Pop-Tarts to make myself laugh if I want to. So it's, you'll learn, you'll evolve to it. It's not going to be perfect to start. Just people censor themselves too much, or they don't want to put it out if it's not perfect. Get out there in front of people. Understand if people like your style. If not, more content will help you change faster. And it'll also help you understand what kind of content to make. So it's like, doing it is better than not doing it. And what I've learned in my life is, someone who's a principal architect and now a co-founder, and I was a solution, half of anything is showing up. You can show up, and if principal architect, I could just show up and say, okay, I'm a principal architect. What are we doing today? And it's like, you just assume that role. So it's not that they're not important. Everything is hard work, but like, so many people are in this phase of life where it's like, well, I'm going to start a channel. I'm going to write this book. I'm going to write a blog. And it's like, when are you going to do it? Like, I get it. It's hard, but like, doing it puts you at such a level, even if it sucks, even if it's crap, just do it. And then get it, just keep doing it. And then, I don't know. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. No, I think that's great advice. Just show up, keep doing what you do, enjoy what you do as well.
Gotta love it.
Yeah.
People will know if you don't like it. People will totally tell. Anytime you phone anything in, whether it's a blog or a video, people can tell. It's just, people are not, they get it.
I cannot agree more. So one thing I've been dying to ask you, apart from the things I've already been dying to ask you, is, I did a little bit of LinkedIn digging to figure out like how you got into tech in the first place, and I was very surprised to see Apple at the top of your how you got into tech. So tell us about that, and tell us like how did you get from Apple land to the Windows Microsoft space? So quite different.
Yeah, it's the they call it the Witness Protection Program here in the U.S. Okay,
that's good.
So the short version is, so I'm 41 for context, which is funny because I at MMS, someone knew it was my I was at my last birthday, October 15th. I was at MMS, and someone caught on and wanted to make a celebration thing, but they got it wrong. It said I was 50, and the real problem with that is no one questioned it. Not one person said, "He looks good for 50." Like, they were like, "Yeah, I mean, this guy's 50." Like, for context, so the reason I say that is because I started off entirely different life. I was a professional musician, drummer, songwriter, keyboard player. I had a whole different life. I spent time working in professional theater, doing playwriting, directing, musical direct. I had a whole different life. It's really crazy. And then it was just this thing of like, around 2008. Um, Met my wife. We decided we wanted to get married, and I was like, I need something that has steady money and health insurance. And I was just done with music professionally. Uh, I talked to my mom, I remember, because that's what you do, right? And I was like, what do I do? She's like, well, the whole time I was doing music, I had to learn computers. I had to learn digital recording. I had to learn live sound. So I was always working with like a lot of Apple stuff. And then I was a gamer, so I had PC games. So that was my hobby, computers. My mom said, go work at the Apple store because you like Apple computers. And it's 2010. She's like, you get it, you'll like it. Maybe it's because I never had a job before. My job was always like gigs, and it's my first employment at a company. So yeah, I got a job at Apple. It's like part-time sales. Within a month or two, moved up to like a full-time lead salesperson, and then started doing business. They had like Apple Business. They did business consulting, and right around that time, they came out with DEP. And this was when MDM came out. It was right when the iPad started. So I was at Apple at that boom of enterprise integration and management. So I was helping companies figure that out because no one understood. It was brand new. They just knew they wanted an iPhone and an iPad in their business, right? As opposed to the BlackBerry. So did that for about 5 years, and kind of reached the end, right? It's one of those things. If you feel like you're the smartest person in a room or the best musician in a band, time to get a new band, time to go in a new room. You don't want to be the smartest person. You want to feel dumb every day to grow. And I do. So, yeah, through a friend who went to this other company doing real solutions engineering. It was supposed to be for Apple, but it ended up just being, I was hired as a mobile device management special pre-sales engineer or something, where I would help companies pick an MDM. Problem is I get bored super fast. I get really bored really fast. And at this time, MDM was in its, now you're looking 2015, right? AirWatch, Mobile Iron, Citrix, all these things. People are like, well, we don't know which one to get. I'm like, who cares? Honestly, like, what do you want to do? Put a password on the phone, push an app? I don't know, pick one. They all do the same thing. Like, so I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then, who became my business partner, Sean, who I worked with as soon as I got there, he said, have you seen Windows 10 yet? I said, yeah, I'm kind of following it. He goes, you're going to be able to manage it like you manage a phone with MDM. I'm like, oh, okay. And we were very big Microsoft partners. So we were at all these Microsoft events, and he said, why don't you figure out how to do that? Like really do it the right way. I was like, okay, I got nothing else going on. It was new and hard, right? It was interesting. And since then, that's really what I've been doing. When Autopilot came around, because we had an idea similar. We were trying to spoof the automatic registration of devices. And Microsoft said, why don't you see what we're doing? And we worked with the team who was doing the beta for Autopilot at the time. We saw all these previews, and it was really cool watching it grow. Like, flew out there, got to work with Microsoft in the Intune office on some very early adopter customers, which was exciting. People pushing the edge, and then, yeah, it just grew into a formal services offering, and I worked with that team till recently, and now I'm here. So it kind of just, I fell into it. When I started in 2015, like, I didn't know what a domain was. I didn't understand any enterprise management. So then now to displace it, like, but I was passionate. So I would like talk to someone, be like, they'd be like, we use SCCM. I'm like, Intune's way better. And then hang up the phone. I'd be like, what the hell is SCCM? I got to go figure. I had to figure all of it out. And I had to learn enough, and I got deep enough to like, I could build an SCCM environment. I could build Active Directory. I had to, because I had to understand it to displace it. Because that's where it was going. And I liked that whole struggle of like, this is new, it's the future. I saw people clinging to a legacy technology, and I guess I wanted the aggravation. So, yeah, I guess that's that's the abridged version of how I went from drummer to sitting here talking to you.
That's very cool. I did not know the drummer piece as well. I was expecting a more standard tech story. This is brilliant.
Yeah, no, didn't go to college at all. But I did speak at, there's an organization in the US, I think they're called NERCOM. It's basically a technical organization for Ivy League colleges. And I got to speak a few years ago at their event, speaking to their IT leaders. And I told them, this is like my first time at college. It's nice. It's really cool what you got here. But yeah, it just didn't, my path was a little zigzag.
It's all about results, and where you end up doesn't matter how you got there at the end of the day, right?
I guess so.
Yeah. I guess so.
I
So
guess.
I'm going to move us on slightly to just think about community for a little bit.
Hmm.
You go to a lot of conferences, that's how I know you fundamentally from in-person events around the world for various companies. How did they kind of come to be? Was that always sort of like a part of your world as a consultant, or yeah, how did that come to be? And
Well,
then speaking.
I always went to Ignite. Because when you're in that consultant space, you get the tickets and you go, and it was cool. I love being my first Ignite. It was overwhelming. Who doesn't like the giant trade show feel? But it was awesome meeting. I ran into people that I read their blogs. I remember I was talking to someone at the Intune booth in 2017, asking him all these questions. I'm like, "Oh, you know a lot about Intune." And then we introduced ourselves. He said his name was Oliver Kesselback. And I said, "Oh my God." I said, "I read your stuff." Like, I'm talking to you right now. Like, this is crazy. And that just kept happening. And but that was about it for conferences, right? And it became like a business thing, and you go. And then once the YouTube thing started, I reconnected with a lot of I not reconnected. I started connecting with a lot of folks in the community, um, who would, it started with the MVP thing and folks saying, "Oh, do you want to speak here?" And my first conference was an MMS one in 2024, I believe. But I didn't really, I was trying to go to those. I was trying to get our company to send us to like MMS or, an experts conference or the workplace ninjas. It just wasn't really, it's hard for companies to do that. I guess if it's a more community driven thing, but I always wanted to go. Never thought I'd be speaking, Adam. So like to be at MMS and be speaking the first time was really crazy. But once I did the first one and met everyone in the community, it's like, not only it was surreal to be around people I've looked up to and read their blogs. Like last year at MMS, Rudy Ooms reached out to me and said, "Do you want to speak together at MMS?" I said, "Why?" My first reaction, I said, "What do you need me for?" Like, oh my God, like, everything about this stuff. He's like, "No, it'll be fun. Well, we should do it together." And he's just super cool. And, we did the session and we're doing another one in May. And that was weird. That was a little surreal. Because again, like it's like anything else, you're in that niche and you got these celebrities almost that you look up to. And even Dean and Andrew Taylor, right? And now we're friends and we're gonna share this Airbnb. It's really trippy. But I will say, like, so yeah, just getting to know people. And once I did the first one, you're kind of in, not in the sense that, oh, you can always show up. It's just you feel comfortable enough to say, "Oh, well, I could submit sessions to this." And someone will say, "Why don't you submit to this one and you submit to that one?" So it just kept happening and it feels natural. But I think it's because the community is strong, like really is strong. Like it's like an entity in and of itself that once you're in with the community, you really can't imagine not being in and doing it yourself. It helps with your content and getting your reach out there and getting to speak with different folks. So yeah, it just was kind of a natural progression. And I love it personally. I think all the events are awesome.
The events are where it's at. I'm obviously biased as someone involved in Experts Live UK, but yes, I completely agree, and that's a lovely segue to your involvement in Experts Live UK. So I think you're probably the first person who doesn't live in the UK who's speaking at Experts Live UK that we've announced on the podcast. So yeah, good. If you didn't know that before today, well, good news. You're speaking at Experts Live UK in June. So, but I believe you have a co-speaker for that one. So tell us more about the session and your co-speaker.
Yeah, Andrew Taylor. Who doesn't like talking, so it's always fun me talking with him. We have a great time. But yeah, I did the first one I did was, last year I did the MEM Summit in Paris, and then I did Workplace Ninjas UK, I believe. Yeah, understand those were my first times out of the US. So Dean contacted me, Dean Ellersby, originally back in whenever it was, I don't know, early 2025. And said, "Oh, do you want to submit a session and come out and do that?" I said, "I do. I just don't have a passport." I said, so I had to sign up and get my passport. I've never been out of the country. I'm lame. So last year I went twice. I went, Paris for MEM Summit and then Workplace Ninjas. I had a great time in Edinburgh. And I'm super excited about this year at Experts. But yeah, no, it's great. It's again, it's the community thing, getting to talk to, because it's weird when you have YouTube fans from all over the world. And, here I am, my first time walking around Edinburgh, right? Never been out of the country. And someone comes up and says, "Oh, I'm a big fan of your YouTube." It's like, wow, I'm glad I get to meet you, because we wouldn't meet, right? So it's it's amazing, and it's surreal, and it's a privilege, I would say, to be able to do this stuff, because the biggest compliment I get from anyone, I don't tell people to subscribe, because I think it's stupid. They subscribe on their own if they want to. And, it's nice when people watch, but the biggest thing is when I meet someone at a conference and they say, "Hey, you wrote this article, or you talked about this in your video, and it was a massive help for me, and it helped me overcome a thing or get a different job." I mean, there's no words to talk about what that feels like. I mean, that's just incredible for me. So yeah, I love it. I love all of it.
That is amazing to hear. I have got literally only halfway through the questions I had to ask you, but
I'll try to give shorter answers. I talk a lot.
No, this is good. This is good. I think next time I'll just book a part 2, so maybe I'll do that instead to buy us some more time. But that does bring us to the end of this episode of Experts Live UK Community Voices. Before we wrap up, of course, I have to plug the conference. I'd be remiss not to. I get told off. So Experts Live UK is on the 11th and 12th of June. And obviously tickets are still very much on sale. I think we are almost out of early bird tickets. Is that
yes,
right,
I think
Nate?
we're almost out. Yep. So get them while you can.
Last chance. Chance, but it is a 2-day event, so you could just choose to come to day one if you're counting the pennies effectively. Day one tickets are a mere £130. It's a bargain. And then full conference tickets, so the full 2 days are 215. I'm going to assume at the point this goes out, early bird tickets will be gone. So I'm just going to make that assumption, be bold. I will say that, and of course you'll come and you'll be able to meet Steve in person, among many other people. So all that's really left to do is to say, Steve, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story. I had no idea about the band stuff and the creative stuff before, let alone the creative stuff I did know.
I'm gonna dig into that at Experts Live, because I'm also a drummer, so I'm interested.
Yeah, we'll talk. Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on. If anyone wants to chat, it's real simple. It's GetRubix.com. Thank you guys for bringing me on here.
Thank you. Anytime. I'll have to do a part 2 with the half the questions.
Let's do a part 2.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So that's nearly all we have to say. In our next episode, we'll be joined by, who's next? Go Brain Go. Do you remember, Nate? I was putting it in WhatsApp only an hour ago and I've forgotten. And if not, it's okay. It's all right. We're joined by another guest in the future, who is also a speaker at Experts Live UK. So do stay tuned for that. Neil, thank you. Neil McLaughlin, who's an MVP, works at Nerdio in the AVD space. He's had one of those moments where your brain just freezes. That.
Well,
so
I'll
there
let
we
you
go.
off, Bruce. It is Friday afternoon.
It is Friday. It's Friday. It feels like a Friday afternoon. So if you have any questions that you would like me to put to Neil, or any future guest, or have suggestions for future guests, please do send them through to me, or to Nate, or to Jeff, or to Experts Live UK on LinkedIn. And as ever, I'll be picking your questions at random if you choose to submit one for upcoming episodes. And of course, while it's stupid to like and subscribe, please do like and subscribe and follow Experts Live UK for more community voices and more to do with the conference. If you have been watching, thanks for watching. If you've been listening, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Goodbye.